Stop chasing the boardroom. Why Black women are building empires. Instead, I want to talk to you today about something that's going to make you uncomfortable, something that challenges everything you've been taught about success, power, and what it means to make it in this world. But before I dive in, I need to tell you about the woman whose insights sparked this entire conversation. Her name is Crystal Neal. And she is not just a researcher, not just an observer, but a documentarian of one of the most profound economic revolutions happening in America right now. Crystal Neal is amplifying the voices and stories of Black women entrepreneurs who are quietly, powerfully, unapologetically reshaping the landscape of wealth, self determination, and legacy. She's ensuring that the world doesn't miss what's happening right under our noses. Her work is a beacon for anyone who's ever felt invisible in systems that were never designed to see them. And what she's uncovered, it's seismic. Here's what we've been told our entire lives: work hard, climb the ladder, break the glass ceiling, get the corner office, earn your seat at the table. For decades, this has been the gospel of professional achievement, especially for Black women who've been told that representation in corporate America is the ultimate prize. We've been conditioned to believe that executive titles, boardroom seats, and six-figure salaries are the markers of having made it. And so, generation after generation, brilliant Black women have poured themselves into institutions, hoping that if they just work hard enough, stay long enough, prove themselves enough, they'll finally be seen, valued, and rewarded. But here's the thing: while we've been chasing those boardroom seats, something extraordinary has been happening, something that challenges the very foundation of what we've been taught to pursue. Black women are building empires, not in boardrooms, not in corner offices, but in their own businesses, on their own terms, at a pace that is outstripping everyone else in the entrepreneurial landscape. And the numbers, the data that Crystal Neal helped illuminate are staggering. From 2019 to 2024, Black women owned businesses surged by 51.2%. Let that sink in for a moment. 51.2% growth. Compare that to the 10.2% growth rate for other women owned businesses during the same period. That's not just a difference, that's a revolution. And it doesn't stop there. Revenues for Black women owned businesses climbed nearly 81% during that same time frame. 81%. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. From 2024 to 2025, Black women led employer businesses grew by 13%, with revenues increasing by 6%, outpacing the overall growth of women owned businesses yet again. This is not a fluke. This is not a trend. This is a fundamental reordering of economic power. And yet, in corporate America, Black women hold fewer than 2% of top executive roles. Fewer than 2%. So let me ask you this: what if the boardroom you've been chasing, the one you've been told represents success, is actually the distraction? What if the real power, the real wealth, the real freedom is being built outside those walls entirely? Crystal Neal's insights force us to confront an uncomfortable truth. The system we've been trying to break into was never designed to let us win, but that doesn't mean we can't win. It just means we have to redefine what winning looks like. Let me share three stories that illustrate this shift. Three women who stopped waiting for permission and started building their own tables. First, Taraji P. Henson. You know her as an actress, an Academy Award nominee, a Hollywood powerhouse. But in 2020, amid the inequities of an industry that consistently underpaid her compared to her white co stars, Taraji made a decision. She launched TPH Hair, a line specifically designed for Black women with textured hair, a market that had been overlooked and underserved for far too long. Think about that for a second. Here's a woman who had reached the pinnacle of Hollywood success, and yet she was still being paid a fraction of what her white counterparts earned. She could have stayed angry. She could have kept fighting for scraps from an industry that refused to value her, But instead, she chose something more powerful. She chose to value herself. She didn't wait for Hollywood to pay her what she was worth. She didn't wait for the beauty industry to create products that honored her hair. She bootstrapped the business with her own funds, partnered with diverse manufacturers, and leveraged social media to build a direct to consumer brand rooted in empowerment and authenticity. And here's where it gets beautiful. Within years, TPH Hair hit multi-million dollar revenue. It expanded into retail partnerships with Ulta. By 2023, it had generated over $10 million in sales. But more than the revenue, Taraji created jobs. She inspired innovation in the 4C hair care space. She proved that authenticity scales faster than traditional funding ever could. Her lesson: stop waiting for the industry to value you, value yourself, and build accordingly. Second, Rihanna. In 2017, Robin Rihanna Fenty launched Fenty Beauty. And in doing so, she didn't just create a cosmetics line, she revolutionized an entire industry. For years, the beauty world had excluded darker skin tones, offering a narrow range of shades that left millions of women invisible. Investors were skeptical. 40 foundation shades? That's too many, they said. That won't sell, they said. But Rihanna knew better. She knew what it felt like to walk into a store and not see herself reflected in the products on the shelves. She knew the pain of being told subtly and not so subtly that her skin tone didn't matter enough to be included. And she refused to accept that narrative. She self funded initially, collaborated with inclusivity experts, and used viral marketing featuring models of every shade. The result? $600 million dollars in first year sales. 600 million. She became the first Black woman to lead a $1 billion brand under LVMH, expanded into skincare and hair care, and forced every major competitor to diversify their shade ranges. Today, 50 plus shades is the industry standard, and Fenty Beauty has generated over $1 billion in economic value for Black owned beauty. Rihanna's lesson: inclusivity isn't just the right thing to do, it's the most profitable thing to do. And when the industry won't make space for you, make your own space and watch them follow. Third, Issa Rae. From the Awkward Black Girl web series to the creator of Insecure, Issa navigated Hollywood biases for years, but in 2023, she launched Race's Cheeses, bringing Nigerian inspired dairy to US markets. Now, you might be thinking, cheese? Really? But here's the brilliance: the challenges were real: niche flavor skepticism, distribution barriers for Black owned food brands, funding gaps. But Issa didn't let any of that stop her. She crowdfunded through her community, scaled online sales, and pitched authenticity on social media. The launches sold out, national retail followed. By year one, Race's Cheeses had generated over $1 million dollars in sales and earned a feature on Shark Tank. More importantly, Issa elevated African diaspora foods, employed locals, and sparked a wave of investment in Black food brands. Her lesson? Cultural fusion captures untapped markets, and your unique story is your competitive advantage. Three women, three industries, three examples of the same truth. Crystal Neal illuminated. Self determination trumps systemic barriers every single time. Now, let's talk about what this means for you. For the woman listening right now who's exhausted from trying to prove herself in spaces that refuse to see her. For the woman who's been told she needs one more degree, one more certification, one more year of experience before she's ready. For the woman who's been carrying the weight of everyone else's expectations while her own dreams sit on a shelf collecting dust. This entrepreneurial boom among Black women isn't just about business, it's about reclaiming power. It's about refusing to let broken systems define your worth. It's about building wealth, yes, But it's also about building legacy, building community, building freedom. The data tells us that closing the revenue gap for Black women owned businesses could add $1.7 trillion dollars in economic value. 1.7 trillion, that's not just money. That's generational change. That's community wealth. That's the ability to fund schools, support families, invest in the next generation, and rewrite the narrative of what's possible. But here's the part that connects directly to the heart of everything we've been talking about. This isn't about trading one form of exhaustion for another. This isn't about swapping the corporate grind for the entrepreneurial hustle and still ending up burnt out, depleted, and running on empty. This is about building businesses that honor your need for rest, for boundaries, for softness. This is about creating wealth in a way that doesn't require you to sacrifice your peace, your joy, or your well being. Because here's the truth. You don't have to choose between success and softness. You don't have to wear the cape to be worthy. You don't have to grind yourself into the ground to prove you deserve to win. The most powerful thing you can do is build something that reflects who you truly are, that serves your community, that generates wealth, and that still allows you to rest without guilt, to say no without apology, and to protect your peace as a non negotiable practice. Crystal Neal's work reminds us that the fastest growing entrepreneurial group in America isn't waiting for permission. They're not waiting for the system to fix itself. They're building, they're creating, they're thriving, and they're doing it on their own terms. So here's my question for you. What if the boardroom you've been chasing is the distraction? What if the real table, the one where you have a voice, where you have power, where you have freedom, is the one you build yourself? I want you to imagine something with me for a moment. Imagine waking up tomorrow and deciding that you're done waiting for approval, done proving yourself to people who will never see your value, done shrinking to fit into spaces that were never designed for your expansion. Imagine choosing yourself the way Taraji chose herself, the way Rihanna chose herself, the way Issa chose herself. What would that look like? What bold business idea have you been sitting on, telling yourself it's not the right time, or you're not ready, or you need more resources? What if you started today with what you have, where you are, and tracked its growth over the next year? What if you gave yourself permission to build something that honors your brilliance, your rest, your boundaries, and your right to thrive without explanation? Because here's what I know to be true: the revolution is already happening. Crystal Neal showed us the proof. The data doesn't lie. Black women are leading the charge in entrepreneurship, not because the system finally opened its doors, but because they kicked down their own doors and built their own empires. And you, now, yes, you are part of this revolution, whether you realize it yet or not. You have a story that no one else can tell. You have a perspective that no one else can offer. You have a vision that no one else can execute. And the world is waiting for you to stop asking for permission and start building. This is not a call to hustle harder. This is not a call to prove yourself to systems that were never designed to celebrate you. This is a call to step into your power by building something that honors your brilliance, your rest, your boundaries, and your right to thrive without explanation. This is your invitation to stop chasing the boardroom and start building your own table. The question is no longer whether you can do it. The question is, will you? Will you take that first step today? Will you write down that business idea? Will you reach out to that potential partner? Will you invest in that course, that coach, that community that will support your vision? Will you choose yourself the way the system has refused to choose you? Because the truth is, the world doesn't need more Black women fighting for scraps at tables that were never meant to include them. The world needs more Black women building their own tables, setting their own terms, and creating their own legacies. And when you do that, when you step into that power, you don't just change your own life, you change the trajectory of your family. You change the possibilities for your community. You become the example that the next generation needs to see. You become proof that self determination trumps systemic barriers every single time. So here's my final challenge to you. What if the boardroom you've been chasing is the distraction and the real power is waiting for you to build your own table? Will you build it today? Will you start with one bold business idea that leverages your unique story and track its growth over the next year? The revolution is already happening. The only question left is, will you join it?